Alright, so today I'm looking at InDesign Creative Cloud 2017. I am exploring this feature in here called Publish Online, and also the animation features within, because I actually created the 9-minute ruler with this, and I thought I'll just show you guys how I did that. So the first thing to remember is this is the bit that will be the document that will be published online, and once it goes online and has all these interactive animated bits, you can then share that link, or you can embed it into your blog or your website. But it's just a different way of presenting a document. It's sort of like a little mini website in a way. But it is, it's a bit basic, but it can do some interesting animated stuff within your document, make it look a bit more interesting and different from what's out there. So once you do that, this bit is what people will see, of course, the A4 size page. And what I'd like to do is the background is going to be this big image, and I want it to sort of pan that way from the gray area into here. So it looks as if it's, panning within this frame, which is the A4. So in order to do that, you need to place a picture in here. You can do that by pressing Control D to place, or of course you can just go through the menu here if you want to. But the important bit is to remember to make it quite large so that you can have that panning distance. So let me just show you how that is done. So Control D, I'm just going to find a picture, and I need a quite large one. I think that one, yeah, we can just use that one. So you just place it in here, and of course you can make it bigger. Just remember to keep the shift button down when you do this so you don't lose perspective. So this is how big it's going to be. There we go. So we have a bit of a, small as you can see it here. So as you can see, there's a whole area here that's outside the A4 frame, and that's good because we want that to move in. So what you do is you click on the object or the picture or the image, whatever it is that you want to move. You go to animation, and we're just going to call that BK for background. And then you choose your presets. So you can choose from different types of animation, just like you would in PowerPoint. With Microsoft Word, when you do a PowerPoint presentation, you can animate various aspects, objects within your presentation. So it's kind of the same thing. So if I said move left, you can see this little green pathway that sort of appeared. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see that. And that's really where it's going to go. And that's good because I want it to move left. What you then have to do is make a decision on when this is going to happen. And I want it to happen when you load the page, when you open up the link and you look at this document. You can, of course, create buttons as well, and I will do that in a minute. You also can add however many seconds you want this to last. I just put some random figure in there. You will change this once you get all your elements in and you make sure they're all timed correctly together. But just for us to illustrate, I'm just going to, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, something like that. I want to play one time. I don't want to be in a loop. Speed, ease in and out. It's just a bit of a production thing, is to make things a bit smoother, the way you animate things, otherwise it'd be a bit too sharp. So it's just a nice thing to select as a rule. And it says, where do you want to animate this from current appearance? That's correct. I want to be just like that when you open up, and that's where I want it to start. But you can also choose 2 current locations. So you could have selected location on here and you say, I want something to move from here to here. So there's different ways of doing it. So I don't want to rotate it. No, scale's fine. I don't want to hide onto animated. I want this to be the way it is. I think this will be it. So what we can do is just have a look and see what it would look like. Just give it a minute to load, and there we go. So that's the ease in, ease out bit, and you can see it animates very nicely. So I like that. I might then say, okay, I'm gonna add something else. It's always you can always add another layer. If you know Adobe InDesign or Photoshop, it's the same thing. You can work in layers and make life a bit easier. So I'm just gonna write text box. We're just gonna add a text box. So if I go here like that, I'm just gonna add, very creatively call it text box. So, oh, I'm in the wrong place. I'm just gonna make it a bit bigger so we can see it. So I could make that, I could get that to animate as well, from out here or to in here, whatever you want. So you can try it out. It's always good to experiment. That's the only way to learn how to do something, to try things out. So let's see. I wanted to animate, of course, but actually what I would like is for it to animate once you click on a button. So if I go and get a button first, I'm just going to get a button, and I need to find, what's that doing up there? Should be here together with that one. There we go. Let's just click on a random button. Green. And make it a bit bigger so we can actually see it. And then I'm going to click on the box. Always make sure you click on what you want to animate to apply the properties to that particular object. So I wanted to move left again. So you can see that's the path. I can make it longer if I want, which I do actually. I want to bring it maybe over to here. And then I want it to be on page load. No, I want to be when you click on that button. So what you do is you go to this little icon here, and it even tells you what it does. It will create a button trigger. And you just select the item. Once you do that, it will then come up with what the button will do. This is a bit of information about the button itself, on release a tab, on click, and so on. So you can make these decisions, but what I would like to do is show you from the start. So if I go back to animation, so once you have selected the box, and of course you can customize the way you want. I don't want to go to a page. It's kind of like a default thing for these buttons that you might want to click on something, go to a particular URL or another page. So I'm just going to remove that because I don't want that. What I want is just to be the animation bit. And that's it. Some other things you can control the appearance of the button, but we'll just leave it simple. And let's try and see if that works. Lost my way there for a second. There we go. It works. So once you click the button, a text box comes out. And it pans left just as I want it to. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be it could be a line like this. So I'm just gonna create a little line here, make it a bit thicker. So 5 points, so you can actually see it. Maybe even a bit bigger than that. Okay. So I've now chosen that line, and I will choose what needs to happen to it. And no, I want actually to be when you click on the button again. So now there's two functions attached to this button. I'm just gonna get the right tool, click on that again so we can have a look. Move left. Don't want on page load. Yeah. And then of course you can put the timing as well. Speed is in out. And actually I want to rotate it also by 45 degrees. Let's have a look. Because I slowed it down a bit, but actually I don't mind that speed, but I think it should be a bit further along here. So what you can do is once you've had a look, is just pull on the pathway a bit so you can see I want it to be around here, for example. So let's try that again. There we go. Alright, so that's basically how you animate things. One thing to keep in mind is another button here you can use is this button here. It will actually show you where it will end up. Of course, if you want to get an idea about where things are going to be, make sure that's selected so you can get a sense of, am I timing this right? And also, are they actually ended up with the right location? But that's really how it works. So let's have a last look. And you can click on the button even before this picture is finished panning. And there we go. So you can imagine the kind of things you can create now. I I, of course, ended up doing that ruler that way. But once you're done with it and you're ready to upload it, you just click on this button that says Publish Online. You have to sign in to Creative Cloud. Now, of course, I do have a Creative Cloud account, and you would need that if you are going to publish it. So that's the main thing you need to do, is to click on here, and then we'll publish that document, and you'll see it online. All right, so this is how you create an animated document in InDesign Creative Cloud. It's one of their really interesting features, and I just love using InDesign anyway. But I think having this to publish online and being able to animate and to do this to your documents, make them look a bit more interesting. It's just not some boring PDF. Is the reason why I think InDesign is one of the best softwares out there. I did create this one as well. It was more or less the same thing. I sort of had a test run on this. And as you can see, you can do a lot of interesting things with it. I'm just going to play that one for you so you can have a look. Get the preview. So of course I didn't put a button here. I think I put an arrow. There we go. Click on that. And as you can see, there's a bit of a delay between them. This is all about the timing, you know. So for example, if I click on this one here, it's 1 second. 1 second. This one's takes a bit longer to get out there, 1.75 seconds. So once you played around with it a bit, you'll be able to see what you need to do in terms of the timing. And also interestingly, you can see this with the smiley face. It's 45 degrees. That's minus 45 because I wanted it to go that way when it goes into an angle instead of the other way. If it was just normal 45 plus, it would go the wrong way around. That's not the order we read a box. So I mean, I can show you how that works. So if I went the other way, see what happens to the box. So it went the other way, the other 45 degrees, and we don't want that. So yeah, it's just a few things you can try out and see what works for you. If you have any questions, use the comment section, and I will continue to upload a few things here and there. So stay tuned.